this is going to be quite a hard video to record because I'm going to be talking about my journey with quitting pornography and how it all started for me. It's not something I've spoke about too much on camera before, but I'm going to try to do my best. So it all started when I was around the age of 12. My mum had recently been diagnosed with cancer and I would use porn as an escape mechanism. So I'd just look at porn and masturbate in my bed at night, or I'd masturbate thinking about stuff, like thinking about girls. But then it became a habit and it was just something that I did every night. So before I went to sleep, I'd get under the covers and I'd knock one out. Looking back, I feel sorry for my mum because I'm pretty sure she cleaned them covers. So all I can do is apologise. But hopefully she's not watching this because I don't want my mum to know. Or what am I on about? Oh, God. Right, let's get back to it. So, yeah, I was doing that every night, having a wank. And then I was about 16, maybe 15, I don't know. And I was with this girl. She was a nice girl and I really liked her at the time. She came over and there was quite a lot of pressure on me to perform sexually because I remember we'd been chatting for quite a while and talking about, oh yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But then when it came down to it, nothing had happened. I think I was quite nervous at the time, quite anxious. I was quite weak back then, if I'm truly honest, just mentally, which is totally understandable. I was only a kid, you know, what do you expect? So yeah, that's how I was back then. And tried to have sex, did not work because I did not get hard that first time. I was way too nervous. And I had PIED, P-I-E-D, porn-induced erectile dysfunction. And that was embarrassing. That was really hard. Because if I'm truly honest, I think at school I was always seen as quite a confident person, you know. And I didn't tell anyone about it. Didn't tell one single person. She was great. I don't want to talk about me and her too much because she's a very private person and we broke up years ago, but she was fine and kind to me at the time. She probably knew that I was really struggling. She ended up becoming my girlfriend and then, you know, years went by and there was this day where she just got back from holiday. She'd been away for about a week and I remember her wanting to see me and I just did not want to see her. I'd been in my room at the time doing quite a lot of code. I was trying to build a business and an online business. And it was having, you know, I was having some difficulties with a lot of code and every time I had a difficulty, I'd just knock one out, you know, just escape that stress of it all. Knock one out. So I was probably doing it like 3 or 4 times every day that week and it got pretty bad. I was looking at progressively novel sexual content. So yeah, when she got back, I just did not want to see her one bit. Even though she was like good looking, really kind, nice girl. You know, she had a lot of the stuff that I desired at the time. But eventually she persuaded me and we went out for a walk just by this park that I live next to. And I was about 20 at the time, I think. My memory is terrible. I think one of the side effects of porn and masturbation has been maybe resulting in me having a bad memory, but my memory is really bad, so I can't really remember all the details 100%. But I remember walking around this park and not saying much at all. I was just like a zombie. I was a shadow of who I really was. And I wasn't interested in her. I don't think I would have asked her any questions about her holiday or anything at all. And then that didn't go so well. I think I went home, knocked another one out. And then I met up with my friend, went to the pub, and I told him, right, me and this girl, we're about to break up. I can see it coming. It's going to happen, mate. Said that to him. And then a week or 2 went by, went round to her house, and sat on the bed. She breaks up with me. It was inevitable. It was absolutely inevitable. And yet, I didn't even care. Like, I didn't even try and get back with her. I didn't... You know, I should have broke up with her a long time before that happened, but I was too weak to do it. Back then, I was way too weak to do it. So I went round to another of my mate's house and played some FIFA and had a laugh. That's what I did because I was so desensitised to real emotion. What I should have been feeling back then was a lot of pain and hurt because my first love, and the girl I'd been with for about 5 years had just broke up with me, but instead I was having a laugh with my friends and playing FIFA. And he remembers that day well as well, because we sort of joked about it a few years ago. But looking back, that was really sad. That was really sad of me to almost celebrate breaking up, almost celebrating that a girl had broken up with me. But a few months went by and I started to build this online business and I got into self-development. I think I sort of came to terms with the fact that this was bad and that my situation was bad, that I needed to sort my shit out, because how could I let a girl that I was in love with let me go? And that was just because I was so addicted to porn and suffering so much and didn't want to tell anyone at the time, that I couldn't even communicate with her, and I was just like a zombie. You know, I completely do not blame her for breaking up with me. In fact, it was probably the best thing that's ever happened to me, because I got into self-development and I built an online business and I started to work out, because I was so skinny back then and I'm not in the best shape, but I've come a long way since being with her, and you know, things started to look upwards for me, but I still couldn't quit porn. And I built this business, started making money, but then that business died out and I lost a lot of money in the end. I'd made about 50 grand. I was on this betting sort of gambling football platform, and I was doing it out in Portugal, running this business, providing betting tips. And it was really, really good for a while. I had a podcast, I was doing it every single day. I did over 400 consecutive podcasts. And I was just living by the beach, reading self-development books and really optimistic. But then the gambling platform that I was providing the data and analysis on died out and everyone lost their money. There was over £100 million lost on that platform. It's called the Football Index scandal. Look it up if you want to know more about that. But that was hard. So I lost a lot of money and I decided I needed to go on a mission to quit porn for good, because I still hadn't quit at that point. I'd had some streaks and I'd had some success, but I hadn't quit. I still couldn't quit for good. So I found this guy called Craig Perra. He was actually in the same Facebook group that I was in on building online businesses. And he ran a coaching business where he would help people quit. And he'd been through a lot. You know, this guy was sexually abused as a kid. He'd been through a lot. But he'd come out the other end, and after being extremely addicted to porn to the point that he was visiting prostitutes often despite having a wife, he managed to overcome it. So I just messaged him and I was like, mate, your Facebook's awful, you know, your Instagram's terrible. This is what I can do for you, because I'd run a business myself and I'd grown an audience at that point and I knew how to improve his social media. So I just told him, I'm going to do this for you and I'll do it for free, because I want to learn how to quit porn and you can help me with that. So he gave me access to his online courses and so on. So I learned a lot, and those courses were worth thousands. But yeah, I highly recommend Craig and the Mindful Habit. So yeah, shout out to them. But anyway, what I learned from him was that everything that I'd been consuming, all this NoFap information, because I started to get into self-development and really sort of take in a lot of information, you know, reading the classic books like Your Brain on Porn and the Easy Peasy Method and all those sort of traditional main books on quitting porn. And some of them did help for a little while, but none of it was sustainable. None of it really got to the root of the problem. And I was on this app called Brain Buddy as well for years. And it's basically an app where people quit porn and are in a community together. And if I'm truly honest, over time, that app actually had a detrimental effect on me, because I started to identify as a porn addict more and more. And that's where a lot of the struggle ended up coming from. So anyway, where am I now? So Craig recommended this book to me and recommended this whole different way of thinking, which is based around getting to the root problem, really. It's called Internal Family Systems Therapy. It was created by a guy called Richard Schwartz, and I've read a lot of his books now. And what he talks about is how we have these parts born within us. And these parts are basically like children, and they're born through events that happen. So for me, having my mum have cancer and that rejection, and then the rejection that I felt from a previous girlfriend breaking up with me, it kind of all felt like, you know, people didn't want me, people didn't love me, or something deep along those lines. I don't know exactly what, but yeah. So now as an adult, despite being, you know, a lot older than I was when I suffered those sort of setbacks as a kid, those sort of struggles, when I face rejection or loneliness, or I don't feel good enough, I still feel like a 12-year-old kid who's just been told by his mum that she's got cancer. That's how I feel, all right? And that's hard to deal with. And so I escape with porn, or at least I used to escape with porn. So I often feel like a failure, and I often don't feel good enough. But what I've come to terms with is the fact that dealing with those emotions in a healthy, responsible way as an adult is the only real solution for me. So yeah, I might have masturbated about a week ago, but that doesn't have to be who I am anymore. You know, if I can come to terms with the fact that I'm not quite where I want to be in life, come to terms with the fact that, you know, I am loved by my family and a lot of my friends, and that I do have value to give to the world, then I think I'll be in a much better position to, one, help myself overcome this problem for good, and also help others as well. So I've decided to put myself on this path towards getting 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. And the way I'm going to do that is by helping to share this message of internal family systems therapy, helping to share the message that dealing with the symptomatic problem of quitting porn, you know, the problem of, you know, just the porn itself, and talking about porn stars and the sexual content and addiction and struggle and fight and war, that's not the solution. The solution is to make peace. So we almost need a ceasefire across the whole of the YouTube NoFap community. It's crazy to think, but I honestly think most of the content on the internet right now about quitting porn is detrimental, because it focuses on the war and the battle, but that war and battle is going on within us. So if the battle's going on within us and we're told to fight more, fight our demons and so on, what we're doing is we're just creating a more intense struggle within us, and we're creating tension, and that causes more problems. If we learn to let go and we create a more compassionate, mindful approach to this problem, then we will finally be able to overcome it for good. Because, as I say, the battle's going on within us. It's not going on with porn. I think that's the mistake that a lot of people make, and it's the mistake that I made in the past. I used to think I was in a battle with porn, but I was in a battle with myself, and I needed to get to that root problem to really overcome this for good. So what am I going to do? I'm going to create the best videos on the internet on how to deal better emotionally and self-regulate, really. That's my plan. I'm going to come up with better thumbnails, better titles. I'm going to try and just help people as much as I can, and I'm going to be honest throughout the whole thing, because sometimes in the past I'd jump on these videos and I wouldn't be 100% honest. I wouldn't admit that I've relapsed, you know, a week ago. I wouldn't admit that I'm suffering, that I'm struggling with this and that. And I'd often only record when I'm feeling good. But I need to start doing it when I'm feeling bad as well, because you're going to get the full, honest me from now on. And I only apologise if I've not been as authentic as I should have been in the past. I'm going to tell you about the deepest, darkest secrets in my life. I'm going to tell you about my struggle. But most importantly, I'm going to try and help people overcome this problem, because we're all, you know, we're all connected somehow. We really are. We are all connected somehow. So let's hope that this channel will grow and help more people. That's the point of it, ultimately. And hopefully these videos will be useful to you. So I'll leave you with my only advice that I really have, which is to stop thinking that you're in a war and a battle with porn, because that only makes things worse. The more tension that you create, the harder it will be to quit. The more you let go, the more you focus on other things and focus on what you do want instead of what you don't want, the easier it will be to quit. So that's why, for me, I'm just going to focus on trying to grow this YouTube channel and help people, do my best. I'm not going to focus on quitting porn. And I believe that is the solution to this problem. Is to focus on what you do want, not on what you don't want. Thanks a lot for watching. It's been quite a somber, melancholic video, so I apologise profusely. But plenty more to come. I hope you're well, and I will see you in the next video.